How's it going? This is bigSHow, theGod. Today's podcast might be a little different, but it'll probably lead to being pretty much the same. Title today was, what was the title? Opinions, criticism, opinions. So, I use this a lot, actually. Kind of, guess this is an exercise in self-awareness where, what role does criticism, opinions on a subject, you might say it's a perspective, but what role do they play with self-improvement? And I personally find them quite, apart from being very difficult, I find them important, an important part, regardless of what I'm going through at the time. So if we break down criticism, so we're going to be criticism versus opinion. It's the criticism that matters, because criticism to me has a bit of extra emotion to it. Someone's opinion may not, but criticism, and if you categorize it as criticism, I feel like it's a bit more of an action word than opinion. Yeah. So is if someone I think's being critical to me, or if I'm being critical to them and they think I'm being critical. And generally, there's more emotion to that. So there are some examples. When I share something that I've spent time on, this room here, say, people come over, I'll share whatever sometimes the story behind it, or the thoughts I had to make a decision on this, that, the other thing. You have different types of people that come through, and some will be in real time criticizing, in my opinion, every piece, from a positive and a negative. And it's more the the positives, I kind of go, we're just in agreement and we both like it all. Sometimes I look at it, I might have convinced them to like it, because it's more comfortable to say, you know, that galaxy thing over there, I say, man, look at that. And the other person goes, yeah, no, it's good. But their actual opinion was, I don't like it. You know, I don't like it. It's not what I would have. And does that matter? Yet, if I say that at the time, or someone says that to me at the time, it seems to affect me emotionally, whether I like it or not. It just does. I don't think it should, but it kind of does, right? And there's different degrees, and there's different levels to how the criticism affects you. So to me, that's so understanding the self-awareness of that, because when you're sharing and you're communicating and you're expressing and those criticisms will come more and more. You know, the old thing about putting yourself out there, well, you get more criticism. If you do nothing, you don't get criticism, unless we criticize that you do nothing. Yeah. So no, you're getting criticism either way. So that's the point. So for me, criticism plays a big role, and it's a self-criticism, criticism of self. It's there, and then how criticism of others affects me. And the more honest I am about that, and the more I understand that it's not going away, or doesn't seem to, I guess the more I communicate my criticism with more of a perspective than a criticism. So I tend to find myself more or less, rather than the subject matter, giving my opinion on myself rather than criticizing the piece that's in front of me. Because understanding that whether I like that or not, it makes no difference unless it's in my space or impacts me. But then realizing that the criticism matters. Because most of the time, if we can take away the emotion of their criticism, it can support change. It can it can allow us to reflect on a potential blind spot, because we invoke some emotion to it. We can just see it more, I think. So that's part of what I want to talk about. So if we get into the depths of the criticism and not liking the criticism and what that does, and most importantly, what that does to me, you're generally going to start armoring up, starting to feel a bit snappier, starting to want to counteract that criticism instead of just absorbing the criticism and understand and just taking it for what it is. Criticism's just your opinion. But being okay that someone else disagrees with me. Sometimes the criticism, I disagree with the criticism. And that's okay. I don't have to re-educate everybody on their criticism that they gave me of whatever the subject matter is. That's definitely not what I do. I do it most times. Depends on whether I can be bothered, I guess. Because now we just disagree. So the criticism, they make an opinion. I disagree with the opinion. I make my opinion or criticism countering it. And now where are we? We're both on edge. Yet I'm generally less on edge because in my world, the criticism I've given is, to me, more valid. And is the right one. Correct. And that makes it tough. It becomes tough. And I guess in that, seeing that toing and froing, if my opinion is always, to me, more educated, has more evidence for, is more logical, more rational. If there's those pieces in there, and someone else's opinion falls outside of that, how are they feeling right now? Generally, you don't feel too good. Just like I'm not feeling that great on something someone just says, I don't like that. Some days, yeah. Other days. So, we start into attack mode, right? So anyway, that's something I've evolved in, I think. I've evolved. I don't know what's made me understand that piece. It seems to happen every time I have an interaction with someone from the past. I had some friends over Thursday I hadn't seen for quite a timeline. And if I haven't seen them for 3-6 months, our conversation that we had back then may have had some detail in it. And generally, they might have said they were going to do X, Y, Z. Going to improve this, change this, go into this industry, or whatever the forecast was of their plans. I can't help but go, okay, so where are we now? And then realizing that's uncomfortable for someone. It sounds open-ended because they start you start warming up on your pieces, and then I start critiquing what you've said from any without any kind of concern. I think I do have some concern with what I'm saying. So then I end up saying nothing. Because when something, and that's the problem with criticism, I only say things that don't make sense. I'm happy to kind of go, oh, yep, that worked. Yep, that goes logical. Oh, hold on. That's not logical. That's not rational. Oh, hold on. That undermines what you just said earlier. That's not a fun conversation, is it? And it depends on what kind of conversation you want to have. So yeah, it only suits certain people, really. But in saying that, I don't know what else to do about that. Because I have my self-awareness is suggesting that if my criticism supports me, depending on whether it's rational or logical and it's got evidence and it's just true, then sharing it would matter, wouldn't it? And then we can go down a road of it's how we share it. Then I would go, well, if it invokes emotion and it invokes, then that will probably have a more impact than if it's just, yeah, whatever. But you got to build up to that, I guess. And it's always like, where do you build up to? So that's part of trying to understand how, and that's part of my process of how listening to the criticism I have back, I may not have been. And criticism isn't on what they said. My criticism is just on what I've been doing or what I do in a situation. So one of them was, so when we have groups of family over. And as an example, my son came. And all the people that were coming, I see all the time. I have one-on-ones with them. I talk to them. We debate all the time about different stuff, right? So I'm seeing them, the family, to different degrees. My son's over here, he hasn't. So my logic is when we're in the room, because I'm self-aware that I can talk about myself and dominate the whole room, and my son may not get to talk what he wants to talk or ask questions he wants to ask. You know what I mean? So my thought process there is that I stay on the fringes as much as possible. I don't instigate the conversation along the lines of what I want to instigate and what I'm instinctively would be saying to a story that was presented. Someone brings up a story of the past, which I'm in. Rather than me enhancing and talking it through, I leave it and let my son detach and come up with his perspective on the story, rather than just sitting here listening to me rabbit on about a story, and it might be just my wife and me telling a story again. I always think, well, I can tell him that story one-on-one. He's got people in the stream he hasn't sort of met before or talked to us before. So why would I want to just talk about me and him again? You know? Because we can do that all day. We're already doing that all day. But what tends to happen too is I'll get criticized for that, of being standoffish or not being in the conversations much. That was a choice. It was a choice I made. And that's how I treat group gatherings. I'm not very... I'm happy to share and open up any story in a group, but I'm conscious of how long it goes on, or the theme stays in that storyline. Because I find it's I don't know. If I have a better influence, if I learn more, or I get to listen more, if I allow someone else in the room to kind of, even if it's slow and it doesn't get us anywhere, let's see where they go with it. I usually try and understand the way. But that's how that's my criticism on it, right? Or that's how I come into stuff on a mindset, or a planned mindset again, in a situation. So whenever I have a team training, I'm always sitting here visualizing it and going, where can someone within that, what's the theme that I'm trying to get across? And does it have to be dominated by me talking? Or can it be someone else? Or can it just be me touch pointing on just one of the pieces, or one of the people? Or I find with that is that I then, because I've planned that out with that sort of structure, in a weird way, I can take criticism better. I can take the change better because I've planned it. So if someone doesn't do what or doesn't seem to be getting the point that I'm trying to get across, because I've planned that on getting a point across, the delivery can be different. It doesn't have to be exactly like this. I just want to deliver the message. So the message can come in different forms. And I know it works because I get feedback, not then, sometimes, I get feedback then, but I see the changes. So that's my evidence for how I've been able to criticize or give my opinion on something that's either affected them emotionally or mentally, but not enough to have them, what's the word? Leave the conversation. How's that? Which isn't easy. So It's within the relationship boundaries that I perceive. And that's tricky. That comes with criticism. Most of that is through myself. So I've gone over the frustration part. Well, realizing I'm doing that. Self-improvement requires reflection, which is what this is about too. But most of this, what's interesting about this though, is that most people I encounter want this criticism. Yet, through this criticism or opinions, they unknowingly will fight it or armor up or criticize back or point to their own discomfort about how I'm being judgmental, how I'm being righteous, how I'm being self-proclaiming, or these sorts of things, when all I'm doing is giving the information, which is the most interesting part, right? Had one the other day. Was had a friend going through lots of stuff, big emotional stuff, lots of stuff that, in my opinion, I have no control over. You know, that person's doing that. That person's done that. That person's gone to the police or the hospital and done that. And regardless of all the actions, and me and us looking at it saying, that's what they've done. And then, so what happens is they're stressed. So this person is stressed and things, and we've talked through lots of angles of, and it's valid that you're stressed. So through that being stressed, the stress I've got, one of the thoughts that person has is, when you know the person says, well, I'm self-improving. I haven't, as an example, been smoking or drinking for 2 years. I think it was about 2 years. I think she had maybe hadn't been drinking for like 6 months, but had stopped smoking for 2 years. And given me all that. And then would say, but due to all this, it's not her doing it. It's other people are having these issues and she's just trying to help. All the stuff's apparently pushed on her, this emotional baggage. She then says, so I think I'm gonna have a drink tonight and have a few cigarettes. I think I deserve it. This is part of the whole thing. And in that moment, it's risky. It's tricky for me to not agree. Correct. So I have a style. I roll my eyes a bit, which signals to her, because of what she said, Now I'm rolling my eyes. Now she's listening to what she said. And then arm it up instantly. It says, oh, just because you don't, and just because it's easy for you, and it's not this for you. But I haven't said nothing yet, right? The rolling of my eyes was enough. And so just in that moment, I'm going, okay, here's my criticism. Here I am judging someone, which you can take it as judgment. I'm just taking the information. If you're telling me that a solution for what you're going through right now, regardless of what it is, and I get it, let's just make it as big as we want, your solution, and remembering the people that you're actually being trying to support, you've been saying, oh, they're on this and they're taking this and they're taking this, they've got this, they shouldn't be taking that, they shouldn't be taking that. You've heard that, you've listened to that, take it on board, and now what you're doing is you're saying, I need some of that, I deserve some of that, I've got to have some of that. It's the most irrational thing I've ever heard. But you can't see the rationality to it, right? It's that self-sabotage kind of concept. I've never thought of, but we both do it. I don't think having cigarettes is going to make me feel better. I guess that's not true. You'll feel better right now. So yeah, so I had that little moment there to roll my eyes, gave a background, gave a sort of quick analogy, and then I got the response, and now I sit on it. And this is part of what I dialect and go, okay, so should I have given the criticism back? And this is why most people don't want to give criticism back, correct? Because you get shot at quite often. But I just think, well, I can take the hits. I take the hit. If what I said was as true as I think, then I stick with it, I guess. I don't know what else to do. I think I just work hard on making sure what I'm saying is true. I can understand everything you said. Got it? Irrational. It was your solution. It was your choice that you're about to make that I didn't agree with. That's all. It makes no difference to me whether you do what you've decided that you're going to do anyway. But it doesn't mean I'm going to agree with you. I mean, that's the kind of thing I'm trying to work hard on, is having someone else do to me. And get in those moments. I seem to be only able to get to certain levels of having that with someone else. So like I said, with someone commenting on something that I've done, I want to feel that. And I want to go, you know what? I could look at that galaxy and yeah, it could be better. Yeah, maybe. And then I go, I keep moving. But I took enough out of that to go, you know what? Someone else is going through this. So maybe there is a better way of delivering something. Maybe there's another level that I can take that away. I think what I've been doing is using other people as examples. And I struggle with that even. Because I go, well, not everyone puts two and two together when you're in that rationality side. In fact, It's the opposite happens. We're happy to talk about this person doing these things non-stop, but not actually able to go, well, I do it. Well, I'm doing that. No, I may not do this piece, but I do that. That helps for empathy. That helps for understanding. But did it instigate me to go, I'm gonna stop doing that, or I'm gonna start doing that, or I'm gonna change that? Don't know. Not always, because it's tough, right? The emotional part of that's tough, just like anything is. So yes, that's the guts of where I was trying to get to with criticism and where I'm at with it, and whether the work I'm doing in that area is good enough. Because I think it's not bad, but I think there's more to do. When I started this conversation, I thought it was I thought a lot of what I wrote down was actually gaps in me. But I'm doing here in real time is realizing, no, not the gaps. The gaps are relative. The gaps are relative to the relationship I build. So the criticism is required. It's the degree of criticism within the relationship. And the other part is the amount of respect or appreciation for where the deliverer is coming from. I guess it's, do I think the deliverer is coming from a toxic or a push me down or a pull me up? A push, does that have the pull me up as well as the push me down? So does that person have to be torn down because then that they can kind of see that I've got the ability to pull you up? Because if you don't demonstrate a pull me up, then tearing me down has less value. That's fair. But like the hypocritical style, I've done those things. I don't do them now. So now I criticize you for doing something that I used to do. Is that reasonable? Personally, I think it is. Is it reasonable to criticize you for something that I'm doing now? I think you can still criticize me for it. Just has a level of respect issues, I guess in my armoring up phase of that comment, it's easy to switch to where you do it, to deflect. So you can take that piece of deflection away, but it doesn't really change the context or the context of the, saying someone's fat when you're fat doesn't change that the other person's fat. So yeah, just trying to see where else I can go with this. Just because to me, these are the ones. These are where I'm at now. You see, I've got groups of people, I've got teams, I've got family, I've got people that I talk to all the time. And this is the type of layer where I want to see if there's something else. Because I can easily sit here and talk about progress, steps I've taken in the process and where I'm at. I can do that all day. I can give examples of people I've spoken to and how they've appreciated my opinion or perspective all day. But understanding in real time what's happening when I'm doing that at that moment. And while I'm even talking here, I'm reflecting on about 5 conversations that I've had recently that line up with this. So it's been an interesting week where I've had that. And I can say that because I've had multiple conversations with multiple people in the space of, let's just say, 7 days, that's evidence that I've self-improved to this level where the way I've worked through things on myself, especially in relationship or people concepts, is evidence for where I'm at now. That's very easy to do for me. What's really difficult for me to do is to learn something more and look for a gap where within this is fundamentally missing. And so I thought I had found something where criticism hurts, but I know that because I'm already conditioned to know that criticism hurts. I just take it to a level of giving you that perspective or criticism based on the relationship we have. And this is bringing me the knowing or unknowing. I'm unknowingly been doing. So what I'm knowingly doing or unknowingly doing is I'm not doing that with people that I don't know. People I don't know, we're staying the same here. We're staying into this realm of criticism. I'm offering a positive opinion to someone I don't know that well until you start understanding my story and where I'm coming from, and you start telling me your story and where you're coming from. Then we have a history, and so now we start my criticisms or opinions, which are to whatever level you want to take it. That's when they come in. So very seldom am I offering a level of criticism where I have not got some history with you. Which I thought that was not the case. I guess if there's one thing I can kind of see here is that my level is at depending on with the relationship, the level I'll go to due to my level of honesty that I think I want to go to, whereas I would do the same. So if I have a level of honesty that I'm willing to go to, which you're not willing to go to, I have to show that first to expect them to get to their level of honesty. Now, if there's a level of sharing that they want to go to, then that's it. So yeah, I think I've covered it. Level of honesty, level of I'm still stuck on the criticism bit. So the criticism bit, is, why am I annoyed about the criticism, and why do I carry that criticism around for a period of time? And so what's going on there? Because what's weird is there's a bunch of great things going on, a whole bunch. And people know me that I go on and on about how fantastic I am, which means how fantastic my life is all the time, every day, all day. But once I get a level of criticism that starts sticking in me, that residues in me for quite some time, I notice. And I put it down to that that's how my mind works. My mind goes to the criticism. It's not going to the 10 great things someone said. Because I've already thought that. That's what I think I would do. Well, it's the criticism bit. And I guess when it's filled with sort of 6 or 7 of them, 6 or 7 of those thoughts or those criticisms, say they didn't like that bit and they walked around and says, oh, that bit's not there. This isn't that big, or that didn't thing. I think maybe that's an ego problem. My ego gets knocked, which makes more sense. And the only thing that that seems to resolve my ego is, in the past, more egotistical stuff. Is to knock someone else for a while. Then that dissipates that criticism. That criticism will move away. Or that opinion will move away. So it's either it's ego, and then it's a control. It's my control. I want to control. I want you to not only hear my opinion, agree with my opinion. Right? So I've got the control there, got the ego there. And then another piece in that is I've got the break it down and listen to the words to try and counter it. Now, when I break it down and listen to the words, there's nothing more there, potentially. If I break it down and there is actually something more there, which was just on the surface level of where they were talking about, as I said before, it's as far as it needs to go. Just leave that piece, right? Yet here I am. So that's the work that's required. And I get it in every meeting, in every subject that I do. So I guess it's just being more understanding of myself is what I'm doing here. It's really outlining the process I'm going through when I'm criticized. Or when it might even not be criticizing me. It's what I'm perceiving as being criticism. And it may even be from I said what I was going to do, and then I said that I didn't get there, and then someone's criticized me on that. Well, why does that matter? They've actually agreed. Their criticisms agreed, but still I carry it around. Interesting, right? Well, I find it interesting. So once I do this, I got to go. So I always like to have a plan. So what do I do about this? In a weird way, I think I did. I share it. I soundboard it. I talk about it. I own it. I understand it more. I realize that the words I may say about a subject, someone else will not understand. I get that. It's like when someone comes up to me and says, "Happy Friday." Happy Friday. What the hell? Happy Friday. And all that was trying to be nice. I have to spin it around and go, it made no difference. Yet, to someone else, it did. It meant something. And here I am struggling with that again. That same core. In the way I flip that around, I said, have a nasty Friday. sad Friday. Did that make a difference to your day? Because it shouldn't. But here we go again, right? Things do. Things. So if you say, I'm saying, there's no difference between Monday, Friday, Saturday, something. It's just a perspective. Well, that perspective is my reality. So there is a difference. Just because I say there isn't a difference, well, in your reality, to where you're sitting here as an emotional being, there is a difference, and it's the same difference to that, in that context is this room is 20 degrees hotter. If we make the room 20 degrees hotter, you say there's no difference. You're in the room. Okay, well, this room is hotter. This room is colder. And I'd say, well, that's an actual physical, measurable thing. As we would go into this other thing of saying, if someone says something that's made you feel different, which is the point. There's a real intrinsic point I'm trying to get to. And as much as I have rational and logical perception of that comment, my physiological nervous system, chemical brain releasing chemical within me is going to affect me from those words. Just like hot air is going to come on my face and it's going to trigger off some stuff. The same as that word's going to come over and I'm going to hear it and it's going to trigger off some stuff. Right? So then it's all the mechanisms we have instinctively or not on how to deal with those things. We cool the room down to deal with it getting hot. And what do I do with the criticism I'm getting? How do I work? What tools do I do to reduce the criticism or the effect that it may be having on the thing? Well, I guess that's what walking does, sharing does, talking to others does, drinking water. All these known tools are what we have. Building your confidence, building emotional tools, identifying it, being more self-aware. So now you can be intrinsically okay with people coming in and telling you all these things. So yeah, I think I've covered where I wanted to get to actually. So that's quite good. It's a bit different, a little bit more, trying to be a bit deeper if I could. But I think I got there. I got there with the honesty of saying I'm affected whether I believe whether I think I should be or not. Reality is chemicals are releasing whether I want them to or not. They just do it. When it's hot here, I don't think I'll start sweating or trying to cool myself down. It does it, right? It just does it. If I'm cold, my sensories start locking up and trying to make me warm, whether I think I'm cold or not. I don't think I'm cold. The sensories are making me tell me that they want to do something. Correct? So the self-awareness of this is major part of realizing all those things, and then what's good now with me is that I can do a lot of this in real time and process and try and say, well, I'm feeling hot, but I'll be fine. Like that criticism there is there. That's their opinion. They're welcome to it. And that's fine. I don't have to answer to everybody's opinion. I don't have to answer to everybody's point of view. I can be curious and find out how and listen to your point of view some more. And that's important, right? I do know that making sure I listen to your point of view, share your point of view back, and then give an opinion on your point of view is a lot more powerful. Hell of a lot more. Than me expecting you to come up with the opinion that I have. Because depending on where they're sitting and what they want, they may even know and actually have the same, they may even know what I'm going to say, but they're not going to share that because that's detrimental to them, especially in business. So being honest in business is, as we know, very difficult. Yet, it's the most powerful piece, interestingly enough.